For over a century, we were taught one fact about the Amazon rainforest. It was a pristine, untouched wilderness, a green hell where human civilization simply couldn't survive, let alone thrive. We thought the tribes who lived there were small, nomadic groups, barely scraping by. But we were wrong, dead wrong. Imagine flying over the thickest, most impenetrable canopy on Earth. Below you is a sea of green so dense that the ground hasn't seen sunlight in 1,000 years. Now imagine stripping those trees away with a digital ghost laser. When scientists finally did this using LiDAR technology, they didn't find more mud. They found this. Massive, perfectly symmetrical geometric shapes, giant squares, perfect circles, and most shocking of all, aligned stone pillars that look exactly like Stonehenge, but thousands of miles away in the heart of Brazil. These aren't just holes in the ground, they are massive earthworks, some spanning 300 meters across. They're connected by a network of lost highways that run as straight as a ruler for miles. The deeper we look, the more it seems the Amazon isn't a natural forest at all. It's an abandoned garden on a continental scale. Today, we're diving into the mystery of the Amazonian Stonehenge, the civilization that built the rainforest, and the terrifying reason why they disappeared without leaving a single bone behind. For decades, archaeology in the Amazon was a nightmare. You can't dig if you can't see. The humidity rots everything. Wood, clothes, even human remains. The jungle eats history in a matter of years. But then came LiDAR, light detection and ranging. By pulsing lasers from an airplane, scientists could see through the trees to the actual shape of the ground. And what they saw sent shockwaves through every university on the planet. In the state of Acre, Brazil, the lasers revealed over 450 massive geoglyphs. These are enormous earth moats and ramparts carved into the clay. Here is the first impossible twist. These geoglyphs are perfectly geometric. We're talking about circles and squares so precise they suggest a high-level understanding of Euclidean geometry thousands of years before the Europeans arrived. But it gets weirder. These sites weren't cities. There are no trash heaps, no kitchen remains, and no signs of long-term housing. So why would a primitive people move billions of tons of earth just to create shapes that can only be seen from the sky? If the earthworks were strange, what they found in Calçoene was impossible. Known as Rio Grande, this site is a collection of 127 massive granite blocks, some standing 3 meters high, arranged in a perfect circle on a hilltop. At first, skeptics said it's just a weird rock formation, but then the winter solstice arrived. On the shortest day of the year, the shadows of these stones perform a dance. One specific stone is positioned so perfectly that the sun's rays pass through a hole in the rock at the exact moment of the solstice. This isn't just a pile of rocks, it's a sophisticated astronomical observatory. But here is the problem. The granite used for these pillars isn't from that area. The builders had to quarry these multi-ton stones, transport them through swamps and thick brush, and then stand them up with sub-degree precision. And they did it all without the wheel, without iron tools, and according to our old history books, without a reason to be there. Who were these people, and how did they know the movements of the stars so accurately in a place where the sky is often hidden by clouds and rain? Now let's look at the dark earth, or Terra Preta. This is where the story goes from weird to world-changing. The soil in the Amazon is naturally very poor. It's acidic and lacks nutrients. You can't grow enough food to support a massive empire there. Or at least that's what we thought. Archaeologists found patches of supersoil throughout the jungle, rich, black, and incredibly fertile. When they analyzed it, they realized it wasn't natural. It was man-made. The ancient Amazonians were bioengineers. They created a mixture of charcoal, bone, and manure that self-regenerates. It stays fertile for thousands of years without fertilizer. By creating this soil, they turned the jungle into a massive food forest. Those wild fruit trees and nut trees you see today, they aren't wild. They were planted by a civilization that managed the entire Amazon like a giant park. We're talking about a population of 8 to 20 million people. That's more than lived in many parts of Europe at the time. They had grid cities, they had fish farms, they had satellite villages connected by 60-foot wide roads. So if they were this advanced, if they were this powerful, where did they go? In the year 1541, a Spanish explorer named Francisco de Orellana drifted down the Amazon River. He returned with tales of great cities that glowed white, thousands of warriors, and a land so populated that a crossbow shot wouldn't land on empty ground. But when later explorers went back 100 years later, they found nothing, just trees. For centuries, Orellana was called a liar. People thought he made up the golden cities to get more funding. But now we know Orellana was telling the truth. The impossible technology of the Amazon wasn't made of stone like the pyramids. It was made of earth and biology. When the Europeans arrived, they didn't bring armies. They brought smallpox and influenza. Because the Amazonians lived in such a highly connected web of cities, the plague traveled faster than the explorers. By the time the next European stepped foot in the jungle, 90 to 95% of the population had died. Without humans to prune the garden, the jungle did what it does best. It reclaimed everything. In just 50 years, the great geometric cities were buried under 30 feet of vines and silt. The civilization didn't vanish. It was suffocated by the green. What we're finding now with LiDAR is a ghost map of a world that shouldn't exist according to our history books. Every time we find a new circle of stones or a square earthwork in the Amazon, we're looking at a high-tech society that worked with nature instead of against it. They built observatories to track the stars, they engineered the very soil they walked on, and they created a society of millions in a place we struggle to survive in today with all our modern gear. The Stonehenge of the Amazon is a reminder that history isn't a straight line. Sometimes we don't just lose civilizations, we lose entire ways of existing. As the trees continue to clear, who knows what else we'll find hidden in the dirt? A pyramid? A library of stone? The Amazon is finally whispering its secrets, and it's telling us that the past was much louder and much more advanced than we ever dared to imagine. If you found this dive into the lost Green Empire fascinating, hit that subscribe button. We're uncovering a new era every week, from the depths of the ocean to the heart of the jungle. What do you think? Were these geoglyphs meant for the gods to see, or were they something more functional? Let me know in the comments. I'm Era by Era, and I'll see you in the next chapter.